Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to another edition of Intuitive Angling. Much appreciated you guys making some time out of your day to watch the video. And today I'm going to give you guys some more safe boating, how to drive, basically a seminar on how to drive a bass boat. Because guys, after this tournament I just got back from at Truman Lake the last couple days up there, there's still a bunch of dudes out there that don't know how to drive a bass boat. They think they do, but they don't. So I'm going to actually revisit this. I've done a couple videos alluding to this boat driving stuff, but I think it's time for a refresher course. So I'm going to bring up some specific situations that everybody needs to know, so you don't have something happen that you don't want to happen, down the road somewhere. Real quick, just want to remind everybody, before we get started with the video, anybody out there interested in booking an on-the-water lesson with me, starting to book the fall and winter trips, just shoot me a private message on my Facebook page, Randy Block at Professional Angler, and I'll give you all the details on that. Okay guys, boat driving, how to drive a bass boat. This is sort of a favorite topic of mine. I sort of pride myself on being a good boat driver. I've always, I've always had the viewpoint of boat driving is that most people don't realize how dangerous a bass boat is. If you guys have ever seen a boat wreck, it's horrific. I mean, what they're like. Most people don't give boats the credit that they deserve for being super dangerous. They really don't. And I've went through great pains for 50 years of driving a boat to be safe and be aware. So I want to address this a little bit because I think it's really pertinent. Talk a little bit about this Truman Lake tournament, a couple things I saw up there. First of all, you guys that fish tournaments know what I'm talking about, and if you don't, you can sort of get the mental picture here. When you got a 150 plus boat tournament taking off in single file, if you're down the list in mid-pack, when you take out, there's boat wakes going everywhere. I mean, guys are going different directions, and there are boat wakes going this and that. And the first morning of the tournament, I'm picking my way through. I always start out slow. Always got the motor trimmed down, and I usually, for the first couple miles, when it's all crazy, I just sort of just take my time and just pick my way through there, going 40 or 50 miles an hour. So I'm picking through there, and partner and I'm really giving him a good ride, making sure he's comfortable and everything. And this goober comes flying past me on the about probably 50 yards to the left of me. I mean, he is hauling balls to the wall, full trim, through those boat wakes, and his boat's just going like this everywhere. And I imagine his partner's getting completely just pounded over there from this guy driving like a nut. Excuse me. So I see this occasionally on the takeoffs like that. Guys, you do not have to do that. You don't have to go balls to the wall in rough water taken out. You're not going to get there that much quicker. The 2 minutes that you save, or the 2 minutes that you get there ahead of everybody else, I can promise you when you get 50 years old, you're going to pay for it with some type of spine and neck problems and joint problems. All these guys out there, these friends of mine that have driven like nuts for years, they're 50 years old, 60 years old, and they're hunched over like 80-year-old men. You're going to pay for that, on top of being dangerous and not being considerate for your partner there. So the first thing is not just taking out in the boat wakes in the morning, but if it's rough in general, slow down, trim the motor down. You don't have to drive like a freaking nut. I think a lot of these guys that drive like that, they're the same dudes that have the jacked up, beefed up pickups that think they've got to nail it as soon as the stoplights turn green. They got to freaking floor it to get out of there. So, just chill out a little bit. You don't have to do that. And, if not for yourself, like I said, for your partner, just have some consideration for your partner with that. I get them all the time. I get these co-anglers all the time that completely bitch about the pros, how crazy they are boat driving. Main thing with that, all you have to do is slow down. Next piece of advice I'm going to give you guys is learn how to operate your trim properly. Because here's the thing about trim on a boat. You have to constantly be on that trim, because what you're looking for is that perfect setting for a smooth ride. You know, to me, smooth ride's a number two. If I got a straight stretch and there's nobody around me and it's slick, you know, I'll trim it out too and get going fast in a tournament like that. But when you're in rough water or you're around other boats or you're in chop, you constantly have to adjust that trim to give yourself and your partner the best ride. So don't just think that, you know, when you take out in the morning, you got to put that hammer down and trim that motor up where it's just running on the pad, not taking any advantage of the V-hull whatsoever. So learn to read the water. Learn to read the wakes and the waves, because every wave is unique to itself. You have not only the height to consider on a wave, but you got the distance of the wave. The distance and the height on a wave determines how rough that is. That determines how rough of a boat ride that is. And every single wave that has a different height and distance requires a different trim because there's a couple different elements with this. You want to use the trim to get your bow down at times to cut through the rough water. You want to trim it up at times to where you won't nose a wave if you have to. And then you want to trim it up accordingly to get your maximum safe speed at times. But the main thing for a trim, guys, like I said, is the safety feature with that. Another thing that you have to learn to do out there, a lot of guys don't do, is read the water in front of you. You got to look out in front of you, and you got to use your peripheral vision at the same time. A lot of times the problem guys get into is there'll be like some little rogue wave in front of them from like a cruiser or whatever, you know, just some type of, maybe some guy got up on plane and he pushed some water, made a little bit bigger wave. That's the kind of waves that if you don't pay attention to, that's going to seriously hurt your back, you know, when you jar on those things like that. So learn to read the water, learn to read the waves in correlation with the wave height and width. Another thing is there is a lot of guys out there that don't know the rules of the road. Guys, the rules of the road is when you're approaching an oncoming boat, both of you veer to the right. You know, it doesn't matter how far it is. If you see a boat coming to you, either way, start steering off to the right. You know, that way you're going to go away from each other. I had 3 situations in this tournament where guys were coming at me and I started to veer off to the right and they started to veer off to the left the same direction I was. 2 of the guys were doing that because they were trying to cut a corner on a point to save time on that. That is just ignorant. It's dangerous. You know, you don't want to do that. That's how people have head-on collisions. Another thing with that, with the points, is stop cutting those points close. All you guys out there that think you have to skin those points as close as you can to save a second or two, that is going to wind up getting somebody hurt or killed eventually. Because I see some guys cutting these points with a blind turn around them. There could be some boat coming 60 miles an hour the other direction, meet you head on, and it's going to kill everybody in the boat. So all you guys out there that think you got to cut points to save some time, stop doing that. You don't have to do it. Swing out wide on those points with that. So anyway, guys, that's just the few points or some other stuff that I can get into here, but that's the main thing. Main thing, guys, is slow down, back off of that throttle. You don't have to drive like a freaking nut job out there all the time. Learn to operate your trim. You may think you do. Contrary to what a lot of dudes out there think, most guys think there's only 2 trim levels, all the way down and all the way up. They don't think there's anything in between with that. Learn to use your trim correctly in correlation with the wave width and the wave height. That comes from experience. That comes from time on the water. It's easy for me to talk about it because I've spent thousands and thousands of days in a boat in the roughest water you can imagine, so I've got a lot of experience with it. But if you guys don't have a lot of experience in it, that's how you do it. It's just, you know, slow down, take your time, be aware. You know, use your peripheral vision. Awareness is going to save you. And like I said, if you don't have any more respect for yourself to slow down, show your partner some respect and slow down and back off that trim a little bit. So anyway, I hope that helps you guys out down the road a little bit. Like I said, I just wanted to pass that on. We've done videos on this before. Probably will continue to do some as it comes up, if I have a tournament where this comes up again. So again, guys, thanks for tuning in. Much appreciated. We'll talk later.